Welcome to Nerdy and Flirty, your new favorite wellness and productivity podcast. It's nerdy with science-backed information, and it's flirty. It's fun, it's quick, it's straight to the point. My name is Cass, and welcome back to the podcast. I hope you're having a great day, a great week. I am really excited for today's episode because I'm going to help you clean up your fitness routine. I am giving you the best strategies to continue to see results long-term in the gym, and we're talking about progressive overload in this episode. If you don't know what progressive overload is, you're in the right place because we are going through it, and I'm giving you all the strategies to do it in your workout routine. One of the most common issues people have when they start working out is they work out, they start to see results, and then they plateau. In this episode, I'm going to talk about how we get into plateaus, how to avoid the plateaus, and most importantly, how to get out of a plateau so that you can actually see results and continue to improve in the gym. And I'm also going to cover the topic of overtraining in this episode. Sometimes the problem isn't that we need more, sometimes it's that we need less. And that's definitely the case with overtraining, so stay tuned for that part of the episode. The human body is amazing when it comes to adapting to new stimuli. Our bodies adapt very well when we introduce new things, and that is a great advantage for us to have as human beings. But when it comes to working out, we have to use this to our advantage and work with this to effectively see results for a long period of time. Let's say you're not a runner. You don't run, you've never really run, you're not a runner at all. And you go for a run and you run 1 mile. That first time running 1 mile is probably going to be pretty hard. You're probably going to be pretty sore the next day. Your body's going to be like, yo, what are you doing to me? It's going to feel hard. And let's say you do that 2 more times throughout the week. It's probably still going to be pretty hard. But let's say after a month, you're running a mile 3 times a week for a full month. By the end of that month, that mile is going to be nowhere near as hard as it was in the beginning. That's because your body is adapting. You're building muscle, your cardiovascular health is improving, your body's doing what it needs to sustain that mile run. That mile run has just become a lot easier. You might even feel like, wow, I could probably do 2 miles now. So let's say that's what you do. Now, instead of doing 1 mile, you do 2 miles. And at first, that 2 miles is really hard. But eventually, that gets easy and you can go further and further and further and further. That is the process of adapting to a workout. It's very common for your body to adapt to the workout. That's what we want it to do. Same with lifting weights. Let's say you start doing bicep curls for the first time, and the first time you do it, you can do 10 pounds in each hand. And that first time, 10 pounds feels really hard. But then eventually, 10 pounds is pretty easy. Now you can do 12, then 15, then 20. That is exactly what progressing in a workout is. If you've ever heard of progressive overload, that's what we want to do to our bodies. We want to progressive overload our bodies because we're increasing that adaptation. It's really important to have progressive overload in your workouts because over time, you're gradually increasing the difficulty, which helps your body build more muscle, build more strength, build more endurance, all of these things, and therefore you're improving. And a very common way to progressive overload that many people know of is adding more weight. So if you go to work out, 1 week you do a certain weight, the next week you go up a little bit, the week after that you go up a little bit, and so on and so forth. And that's a great way to progressive overload. That's a very common way. It's also a great way to really test out your strength and see what your body can handle. But what a lot of people don't know is that is not the only way. And unfortunately, what I see in the space is people just try to add more weight, then they kind of max out and they can't go any higher, and then they plateau. This is something that we want to avoid in our workouts. So I want to share with you some other strategies to progressively overload in your workouts so that you can continue to see results that don't involve adding more weight on the bar or adding more weight in the dumbbells. Like I said in the very beginning of the episode, our bodies are amazing and our bodies adapt really well. So we have to find ways to continue to make our bodies adapt to the stimuli that we give it. One of the most common ways is by increasing intensity. So intensity is basically just how difficult the exercise is. If you're increasing the weight on the bar, that's increasing the intensity. If you add more weight, it's definitely going to be harder. But another way to increase the intensity or change up the intensity is to change the tempo of your workout. Your tempo in your workout is the timing of your workout. So most of us, when we work out, we just go up, down, whether it's a squat, bicep curl, whatever it is. Let's take a bicep curl, for example. So let's pretend you have 2 dumbbells in your hand, you're doing a bicep curl. Instead of just curling up, down, up, down, up, down, instead try bringing it up in 1 second and then slowly bringing it down. Take 3 seconds to bring it down, 3 slow seconds. That is going to feel a lot harder than doing up, down for 1 second each, but you're holding the same amount of weight. Doing that is not only going to help you with control, but it's going to progressively overload your workout because that's a different stimulus to your body. Your body's not used to controlling that weight. It's used to just bringing it up and down, up and down. So in turn, you'll see more results that way. I love changing up the tempo in my workouts. This is one of my favorite ways to progressively overload because not only is it a challenge physically and I feel it in my body, but it's also just fun. It finds like that spark again. I'm taking an exercise that I've done a million times and making it a little bit different. I used to do this all the time with my clients in the gym because it takes an exercise that you're very familiar with and makes it feel like a brand new exercise to your body and also just mentally. I did an entire episode on the compound movement patterns that you need in your workout, and these tips that I'm giving right now definitely go hand in hand with those because at the end of the day, most of us are doing pretty simple, repetitive movement patterns in the gym, but we have to find ways to make them feel new to our bodies so that our bodies react and do the results that we want them to. So to have these movement patterns that we're very familiar with and used to and change the tempo on them makes them feel like a completely new exercise. Another way to progressively overload your workouts is to increase the volume. Now, volume is basically the amount of reps and sets that you do throughout the week, the amount of work you're putting on your body. Increasing volume is definitely something you want to do thoughtfully and with a lot of consideration because there is such thing as overtraining and overdoing it, and I'm going to talk all about that at the end of the episode. But when it comes to increasing your volume in the gym is great, especially if you're new to the gym. When you're first starting out, you're likely doing something like 3 sets of 10 reps. Over time, as you get more advanced in the gym, it makes sense for you to go up to doing 4 sets of 10 or 3 sets of 15 or adding some more reps and sets into your workout routine. But I will say that you want to do this thoughtfully because it doesn't always make sense to go up to an obscene amount of reps and sets. If you find yourself doing 10 sets of 50 reps, there might be a better way for you to progressively overload your workout without doing a million sets and a million reps. Increasing your volume in the gym is a great strategy for progressive overload because it takes a weight that you're already familiar with and adds in a few more reps, a few more sets that makes it a little bit more difficult. You'll definitely feel it if you're not used to doing that many reps or that many sets. The next day you'll feel it a little bit. You'll know that it's working. But there is such thing as too much. I can give you a good example of this with running. Like for example, if you're starting out running and you do 1 mile, then 2 miles, then 3 miles, then 4 miles, you're increasing your volume. But if you're getting to a point where you can run 20 miles, no problem, and you're running 20 miles every single day, not only is that going to feel monotonous and take a really long time, but it will also taper off at some point where your results don't match the input that you're putting in. It could either be from injury or not recovering properly, different things like that. So you definitely want to watch and see, am I still seeing results doing this set and rep pattern? Another great strategy for progressive overload is by varying your exercises altogether. If you haven't listened to the episode where I talked about the compound movement patterns, definitely listen to it because this will make a lot more sense. But in that episode, I listed off a ton of variations of similar movement pattern exercises to hit the same muscle groups. So if you're used to doing a push-up, for example, and you do tons of push-ups all the time and you feel like you're kind of tapping out, you can't add weight, you can't add more volume, you just feel like, I'm doing too much, this is getting too easy. Switching over to a bench press or a chest press with dumbbells or a barbell is going to hit the same muscle groups, but you're going to be able to do a lot more. Your body's going to react a lot better to this new exercise that your body wasn't used to. This is also why typically after around 4 weeks or so, personal trainers will usually write a new workout routine because it gives your body something new to adapt to. If you just did 4 weeks of leg press and then you switch to, barbell squat or something different, your body's going to react very differently. Even though it's similar movement patterns, similar muscle groups, it's a new stimulus on your body and therefore you're going to see results. Going along with this, you can also change up the angles. So like on a chest press, for example, if you're using the chest press machine, instead of just doing a regular chest press, you can do an incline chest press. It's going to hit your muscles a little bit different and give you that adaptation benefit. This is when I really recommend tracking your workouts and writing down what you're doing. And even talking to a personal trainer, seeing one for a few weeks, things like that, because it's really helpful to have someone help you create a program that not only hits every muscle group, but incorporates different ways to progress your workouts. That's not just adding more weight, because you can add more weight each week, but after about 6 weeks or so, your body's gonna be like, okay, we're doing the same thing every single week. It gets a little bit boring and it just doesn't feel the same as when it first starts out. If you've been working out for a while, you'll notice that when you switch your workout routine, your body acts like it's brand new all over again, and that feels so good, and it's doing benefit to your body. So tracking your workouts, tracking how much weight you do, how much reps you do, how you feel after, that's a great way to see your progress and see how it's going and if you're on the right track. Another way to change up your workout if you feel like you're in a plateau is to change up your workouts altogether. So maybe that means adding in supersets where you do things back to back, or creating a circuit for yourself, adding in a drop set. These are great ways to change up the workout without necessarily changing up that you're doing strength training. You can also add in other forms of exercise like dance, yoga, HIIT classes, Pilates, things like that to change up your style of training. I really like incorporating this into my program that I write for myself. So like I said, most of the time, if you're with a personal trainer, they're gonna give you a different workout program every 4 to 6 weeks. It really depends on the person and your goals and things like that, but they're typically gonna give you a different program at some point throughout your training, and that is why they do that. Not only is it fun because you're changing up your workout routine and you're learning something new, but it also really does have benefit in your overall performance and the results that you're getting. So I'll typically do like 4 weeks of strict strength training, and then I'll do the next 4 weeks more focused on endurance or cross training or different things like that to make it feel not only different on my body, but also just keeps it fun and keeps me out of a plateau. Another thing that I want to mention is the importance of focusing on your form and your technique in your workout. So it's one thing to just do your workout and breeze through it and not really think twice about how you're moving and what muscles you're working. And it's another thing to be really intentional when you're working out and focus on the muscles you're supposed to be working on. One of my favorite things to do with clients and in my own workout routine is literally focus and look at myself in the mirror on what muscles I'm trying to stimulate. And I swear it has such benefit on the results that I'm having. So for example, if I'm doing a core exercise, I really want to look at my core and squeeze my core and try to activate my core as much as possible to see the best results. Same thing if you're working on your glutes, for example. I know a lot of people have trouble activating their glutes and working on their glutes. If you're trying to grow your glutes and stimulate your glute muscles, look at yourself in the mirror, concentrate on your glutes working, imagine your glutes working on what they're supposed to, slow down your workouts and really think about the workout you're supposed to do. That mind-muscle connection that you have in your brain is so vital for your results, and it's not really talked about a lot. A lot of people will go online and they'll say, oh, do these 5 exercises to grow your glutes, and they never talk about the importance of mind-muscle connection to really associate yourself with the muscles that you want to work on. I try to do this a lot in physical therapy with my quad because, as you guys know, I had knee surgery, I had ACL surgery, and they took my quad tendon. I lost a lot of quad muscle on my left side because of the surgery. And in physical therapy, we're working on growing my quad. When I do every single exercise, even if I'm using both legs, like I've been doing leg press, I just focus on my left quad so hard and I think about it and I look at it and I try to squeeze it as much as possible. And I swear that has done the biggest help on seeing results. And it sounds so silly, but you can look it up. There is so much research on mind-muscle connection and its effects in the gym. So don't knock it till you try it. Really start to think about your workouts. Try to have the best form. Try to have the best techniques. Really focus on the muscles you want to work, and I promise you will see more results. So those are some strategies on how to progress your workouts to keep seeing results in the gym. Like I said, our bodies adapt really well, and we have to stay ahead of this in the fitness space to continue to see the results that we want while our bodies are adapting. Now, these are all things that you can add into your workout to see more results, but there are things that we need to know about overtraining and signs that it's too much, because sometimes I'll have people come to me and they'll say, I'm not seeing results, but I'm doing so much. I'm going to the gym 5 times a week. I'm staying longer. I'm doing more reps. I'm doing more sets, and I'm not seeing the muscle growth. I'm not feeling it the same. I don't see the results the same way. What am I doing wrong? What can I do more of? What can I do more of? And the answer to this question is actually the opposite of what you think. And that could be that it's a sign of overtraining. Now, overtraining doesn't affect everyone. I know some people are probably listening to this and they're like, Cass, you know me and you know I don't struggle with overtraining at all. I actually struggle with undertraining. That's a whole different conversation. But there is a big portion of people that do struggle with overtraining. The people that I usually see struggling with overtraining are typically ex-athletes, people that grew up going on a team, working out with a team, working with a coach, having that mentality, that athlete mentality, but also people that have developed an all or nothing mindset. So I've worked with a ton of clients that have this all or nothing mindset. Sometimes it stems from struggling with their weight for a long time, struggling with their eating, feeling like they need to either do it all or they do nothing at all. And that in itself is problematic, but there are things that you can do to work on that. But one of the things that I see with this is the tendency to overtrain, to do too much, and there is such thing as doing too much. Working out is great. Strength training is great. But there is such thing as doing too much, and when you do too much of a good thing, it actually slows down your results, which is so hard to hear for some people. That's a tough pill to swallow. But if you're working out too much and strength training too much, you're probably lowering your results, lowering your recovery. There's so many things that go into it, and it's actually not doing the thing that you wanted it to. There's such good intention in going to the gym a lot and working out a lot and doing a lot, but the results don't actually result. And that's just that. So how do you even know if you're overtraining? Because something that typically happens in this portion of people is they don't even know that they're overtraining. There's a lot of good intention in it, right? Where they will go to the gym a lot and they're going 5, 6 times a week, 7 times a week, doing all these workouts, and they're wondering, why isn't it working? And the answer is actually that they're doing too much. So first off, there's some physical symptoms that are associated with overtraining that are clear indicators of overtraining. First thing is injuries. Frequently getting injured despite being a healthy individual. So you're going to the gym, you're eating well, but you're always hurting. Maybe your joints ache, you're always having elbow pain, knee pain, ankle pain, any kind of aches and pains and strains and sprains. That's a typical sign of overtraining and doing too much on the body. Another physical sign is your muscles constantly being sore. So soreness isn't actually as good as people think it is. A lot of people go to the gym with the intention of getting really, really sore, but that intense soreness for many days at a time where you can't even get up out of your chair, that's typically a sign that you did too much in the gym. Remember, all of the muscle gains happen in the recovery of your workout, not in the workout itself. So it's really important that you don't do too much damage on your body, that your body doesn't adequately recover. Going along with the recovery is constantly being tired. If you go to the gym and you work out and you leave feeling exhausted, that is usually a sign of overtraining. You shouldn't feel completely depleted after a workout. You should honestly feel a little bit more energized. So if you're going to the gym and you feel super tired, or you get home and you need to take a nap and you just can't get that energy back, that's typically a sign that your workout is too much and that you're overtraining. Now, in the beginning of the episode, I talked about progressive overload, but if you find yourself in this category of overtraining, just lower any of the things that I said. So if you find that you're constantly fatigued, try lowering your volume or lowering the intensity of your workout. Rather than doing 3 sets, do 2 sets. Rather than doing a certain amount of weight, go a little bit lower than that. Those are great ways to make sure that you're not overtraining if you find yourself in this category. Another way to tell that you're overtraining is if you're not seeing the strength gains anymore. Maybe you first started working out and you saw that each week you could add more weight, you were getting better, and then at some point it just kind of declined. You're not able to do the same weight, you're not able to have that same workout. That's typically a sign that you're overtraining and your body's not adapting properly to add on that weight. Another physical sign is if anything happens with your period or loss of period that is from something else. Now, this is something that I definitely struggle with, and I see this in my life. When I'm overtraining, I lose my period. And if that happens to you, that's a clear sign that your workouts are too much and to dial it back. It's very common for women when they're overtraining and undereating typically to see a change in their hormones, and we want to avoid that as much as possible. There's actually something called the female athlete triad, which I struggle with sometimes, where if you meet these 3 criteria, which are overtraining, undereating, and stress, like high stress levels, you'll lose your period. And it's very common in Olympians and different high-level athletes, but it can also happen to everyday people like you and I. If you find that you're working out a lot and you're not skipping workouts, but you might not be eating right and you're losing your period, that's a clear sign that you're overtraining and most likely undereating as well. A really big thing to keep in mind is if you're overtraining and undereating, every symptom that I'm saying right now can be exacerbated to be even worse because your body's not properly recovering, and you need a lot of things to properly recover, like sleep, protein, eating well, nutrients. All of those things are super important to recover. So if you're overtraining and undereating, you're really beating down your body and making it really hard to recover. Other signs of overtraining are also getting sick a lot. So if you feel like you're getting sick a lot, you always have a cold, you're never really feeling all that right, it could be a sign of overtraining and your immune system is taking a hit. And then outside of the physical symptoms, there's also psychological and emotional symptoms that can be associated with overtraining. One of the biggest ones being just not wanting to work out in general. If you're having changes in your opinions on working out, you don't enjoy it as much, you feel really distanced from it, you're not motivated to work out, all of those things, it just feels horrible, it's likely a sign that you're overtraining. And one of the best ways to deal with this is just change up your workout to be something fun. If you typically work out 5 times a week, dial it down to 3 and see how you feel. Or change out one of the days for something low impact, like just going for a 10-minute walk or going to yoga or doing something that you enjoy and see how you feel. The biggest thing on all of this is monitoring how you feel and see if anything improves or changes. If you see that when you play pickleball, you feel great, but when you work out in the gym, you feel horrible, it's probably a sign that something is too much in your workout routine. That doesn't mean that you have to give it up altogether and just quit, but it does mean that you have to gather some data to see what feels good and what doesn't. Your body is giving you signs and symptoms for a reason, so listen to your body and see, oh, I actually feel so horrible when I do this HIIT workout at the gym, but I feel great when I do a 10-minute little jumping jack workout in my basement, right? Figure out what feels good and what doesn't, because if you're feeling horrible, it's likely not the right workout plan for you. This is something that I would talk to my clients about a lot as well, because it's really important for me as a trainer to know how people feel post-workout, but also you as a client, if you're working with someone and you feel completely depleted after your sessions, it's probably not a great volume or frequency or intensity of your workout. And that doesn't mean you have a bad trainer, but I would mention it to them like, hey, I feel so exhausted. There's something that I'm missing here. Maybe you're not getting enough protein. Maybe you're not drinking enough water, but maybe your workout is just too long and too much for where you are right now. We want to avoid overtraining as much as possible. So make sure that you're getting enough sleep, you're eating enough protein, and you're listening to what your body is telling you about what feels good and what doesn't, because you're gonna do more harm than good if you're overtraining for a consistent period of time. Workouts are just like any other stressor on the body, so it's important that we don't have this huge amount of stress on our body that we're not recovering from. And if you're interested about stress, I made a whole episode about our stress response and our stress cycle and the different types of stress. It was one of my earlier episodes, but it's really good to understand how your body deals with stress and adapts to stress, because workouts are a stressor. Even though it's great to exercise, it is a stressor on your body, and you want to make sure that you're giving your body the tools to recover from those stressors. I hope that you learned something from this episode, from the plateaus and the ways to progressive overload and how to make sure that you're not overtraining and signs that you might be. I hope that you learned something from this. Definitely let me know on Instagram at Nerdy and Flirty Pod and at Cass Camp. I hope you have a great week, great day, and I will talk to you next week. Thanks for listening. Bye.